Quite the talent he is. Proper chatterbox yada. If you're keen, it'll be brilliant. Today, we're going to keep it simple. I'll bark out a basic command and you watch. Keen to know? He'll set your tail wagging. Does mine, hence why I'm backing him. Right then, Wookie here. Do take a seat, won't you? Give us your full attention while we listen to my pal, Yada.
Thank you, Wookie, for this wonderful introduction to episode 3 of the Basics on Pesach. Excuse our tardiness. We are about 20 minutes late. We had some challenges with the cables to capture our poolside camera, trying to get a picture of the fire. We are continuing our program here on the basics relative to Pesach. We covered everything except we're going to conclude in the 22nd Mizmor, one of the most extraordinary pieces of literature ever written. That fire out there is symbolic of the fire that Yahweh says is so transformative. That is the purpose of so many of the Mikra. He asks us to approach the presence of this fire because it is transformative. It takes decaying organic material like our physical bodies and transforms them into light and energy, which will eventually encapsulate our souls as we jump from 3 dimensions to 4, 5, 6, and 7, and ultimately enter Shamaim to be with Yahweh. For those of you who listened to our last program, you know that in the intervening hour, we had a lovely Pesach dinner. We had lamb chops. We had marvelous home-cooked matzah, olive oil, and bitter herbs. A lovely side dish of potato sliced in an exceedingly beautiful way. One of the most beautiful presentations I've ever seen. Lovely, lovely texture of the lamb. The results of the end of the lamb, the part that we didn't eat, which was darn near nothing, but nonetheless, per the instructions, we have taken the remnant of the lamb. It is out there in the flame, being incinerated so that it does not survive until the morning. But our meal of a glass of red wine and lamb, the Zeroa, a beautiful lamb chop, is cooked over an open flame, as well as the flatbread, the matzah, bread without yeast and dipped in bitter herbs and olive oil, was all part of our meal. You can see even Rich walking out there now to tend this fire. It's a beautiful scene. We set out and enjoyed it for about 15 minutes as we were working to get the cables to respond appropriately. And it's a marvelous experience watching the fire dance and feeling the warmth of it, hearing the crackle and the dancing light. Truly a marvelous experience. And it's just something that I wanted you to be able to share with us as we celebrate this Passover. Moon hasn't quite risen over our horizon yet, but when it does, it will be beautiful and it will be full. And we just all celebrated, really, all of the symbols, all of the teachings, all of the insights that Yahweh has offered to us via Passover, opening the doorway to life with his beloved son. We toasted Yahweh and Dode for what they had done and anticipated being able to celebrate this in their presence so very soon. So it's a beautiful scene. We are now going to cover a portion of the 22nd Mizmor. We may finish it tomorrow. It is 7:26 here in the midst of the Caribbean Sea. The lights that you see that are so bright in that room on the other side of the fire, that was the office where I wrote most of these books here on our island. That's where Rich is silhouetting against that door. But it's so bright now because of all of the lights we use for our studio. And the pool sits between the house and that office and the ocean on the other side. It's really a beautiful setting. I think Yahweh realized that, in all the things that we have, there's Asher looking at the fire, all the things that we have done together, that Yahweh realizes this is a good challenging job, and that since surrounded by Israelites and their honoriness, it became an impossible task for Moshe and Dode, both better men than I. Yahweh made certain that we had a bit of a respite, that we could do this job surrounded by the ocean and a bit insulated from the antagonizing nature of people who oppose everything that Yahweh was trying to convey. So it is a wonderful celebration for us. We're delighted to be here, delighted to have Rich be able to produce this program on our behalf. And you can even see that in the near frame there, that is actually a fountain of laminar flow water that's going into that pool, which is essentially all marble with a little bit of glass as an accent and floating tables. It's a really pretty scene. So this is a song, a mizmor, lyrics set to a melody. It's written by Dode. He is the beloved. He wrote it about himself. He addresses everything that follows in first person. This was something he himself endured. This is a marvelously befitting introduction because Dode would represent all of the things that we are celebrating on this day, and everything that follows pertains to him. The Lamb of God who opened Passover's door prophetically revealed that he would say on this day, as he was being tormented, literally crucified by the Romans, exactly as he said he would be, my God, why have you at this moment forsaken me? Mizmor song, Psalm 22:1 in part. He knew the answer, of course. No prophet ever asks a question that he doesn't know the answer. And in this case, he was being forsaken, abandoned, relinquished. For the purpose of fulfilling Pesach, he had agreed to do so. And it was a gruesome undertaking, and really, Yahweh hadn't completely abandoned him. The spirit of Yahweh enveloped Dode during this time. I am certain that the spirit of Yahweh also numbed the pain so that his beloved son wouldn't have to endure how gruesome this was, but it was gruesome to make the point. He goes on to say, far, remote in distance and time, away from my liberation and deliverance are the words of my anguished groaning. The ordeal was just beginning. It would be, some 30 to 40 hours from the onset of the crucifixion by the Romans, sacrificing the Passover lamb, to the end of Passover, the beginning of Matzah, which was 24 hours. And all total, perhaps 30-ish hours of the most excruciating, anguishing torment any soul has ever endured. And he volunteered to do this for us. And as you will find out, he was not alone. My God, I am appointed to call out and to continually proclaim this summons, to make this invitation known on this day. But of course, you cannot answer by night. There will be no relief for me, no expectation of rest or of silence. Psalm 22:2. During the day, it would be horrific, but by night, of course, his soul would be in Sheol, where it would be impossible for God to be able to communicate directly with his beloved son. And at this point in the ordeal, they was a long time away from the expectation of rest. He says, "You are set apart, living to establish the renown and reputation of Yisrael." And truly, that is profound. The reason that Yahweh was not engaged in the fulfillment of Pesach and Matzah is because God is seven-dimensional. His son, Dod, had volunteered to endure the torment for the benefit of Yisrael, and this was all being orchestrated on behalf of those who engage and endure with God. Mizmor, Psalm 22:3. Trying to put this into the context of time, then this was year 4000 Yah. Dod wrote, "In you our fathers relied. They trusted, and you continually rescued them." Psalm 22:4. Well, they did at times. At times they did not. But when they did, when they trusted and relied upon Yahweh, as we found in that Hezekiah moment, God rescued them. When they were suffering in Mitzrayim, Yahweh rescued them. That is when they cried out to you. They cried out for help, and they were delivered. That is really the truth for what happened in Mitzrayim. Boy, isn't that a beautiful scene? To my, I guess it would be to my right here, and in what looks like to my left, but it's a reverse image here on the monitor. It's just gorgeous, isn't it? What a marvelous set of metaphors Yahweh has for his Moed Mikre. So to you, while in Mitzrayim, of course, they cried out for help and they were delivered. In you, they trusted and relied to some extent. And of course, they were not disappointed. They were not disapproved. And then Dod recognizes what it's going to take to finish the job. He says, I am but a crimson grub. Tola'ah, no longer extant or present as a person, rebuked and taunted, dishonored by mankind. This was important for two reasons. That crimson grub, the Tola'ah, plays an important part of the sacrifice of the Adamah Parah. It's tossed into the flame to remind us of this day. It is part of the dress rehearsal with Eliah, ridding the Israel of its religiosity and its politics. It is symbolic of the bloody nature of Rome and the scarlet red of those barbarians and what they were doing at this point. And it's also significant that Dod is letting us know that his body is no longer extant or present as a person. It was just a piece of meat now being tormented. His soul is what mattered, and his body was being sacrificed for the purpose of serving as the Passover lamb. And it was that body that was rebuked and taunted, insulted and dishonored by the very men that God had created, disrespected and demeaned by the family. And that was also true. Israel has never embraced Dod's role as the sacrificial lamb, as the Son of God, as our Savior, as our returning King. They continue to disrespect the most important man in the world. You should never be afraid. This is something I want to share with you about that Tola'ah, because God explains a really important insight that I think is relevant to Dod's mention in it, pursuant to his fulfillment of Passover, as he was being beaten to a pulp by the Romans. This is what is conveyed in the Torah. Actually, I think this is from Yeshaya. Isaiah, you should never be afraid, O worm of Jacob. People of Yisrael, I myself am here to help and to support you, prophetically announces Yahweh. And then in conjunction with that worm, God says, your kinsman redeemer is the set apart one. He is the set apart one of Yisrael, of individuals who engage and endure with God. So there's a direct correlation between Jacob, Yisrael, this Toalah, this worm, Jacob, and the kinsman redeemer, Dod, of Yisrael. So Dod continues to write, all of those who see me, they deride and they mock me, speaking unintelligently about me and disparaging me. They shoot off their mouths while they shake their head. This has been true now for almost 2,000 years. The rabbis completely ignored the fact that it was Dod that was fulfilling his promise to serve as the Passover lamb. It was rabbis that created Christianity that exchanged all that Dod represents and has done for the myth of Jesus. And so to even this day, they shoot off their mouths. They talk about a Christ. They talk about a unknown Messiah. And here was Dod enduring the ultimate sacrifice for their behalf. And yet they disparage him. They talk unintelligently about him. It's why God hates religion to such a degree. He wrote, you have chosen to be rolled away. This is what those who were mocking him had to say. You have chosen to be rolled away, to be removed, to be sent away to Yahweh. So let's see if he wants to rescue him. I've dealt with this previously and said that the only way that those mocking Dod, while he is being crucified by the Romans, would say such a thing, that you've chosen to be and spoken about your will to be removed by Yahweh, is for Yahweh to be openly discussed. Obviously, Dod dead. Obviously, his brothers dead. Obviously, his mother and father dead. It was known to all who would listen that Yahweh was the God of the Messiah who was serving as the Passover lamb. And this Passover in the Yobel year of 4,000 Yah. So they continued to flap their lips and said, let him choose to deliver and save him. Surely he desires to be with him, and surely he would. And he does. It's true. And so, in the midst of being rejected by his people, Dod takes comfort in the fact that he was supported by his mother. And having a supportive mother was immensely comforting to him. So in the midst of all of this, he tells Yahweh that indeed you had me to gush forth and thrash about in normal childbirth. From the very womb, causing me to rely upon my mother's breasts. Dod would know the love of a mother and a father in this life. The mother that was such a whore and abandoned him in the previous one would be replaced by Ruth, the Amma, who promised Boaz that she would deliver to him the kinsman redeemer, and she did. But it wasn't just giving birth to Dod. It was supporting him, loving him, encouraging him, serving as a mother and father to the beloved Son of God at this time in his life. And Dod is celebrating that. He is immensely grateful to Yahweh for allowing him to enjoy the love of a mother. He says, before you, Yahweh, I was cast out of the womb, of the place of origin, of great compassion and love, Rakam. From the womb of my my mother. You are my God. You see, when Ruth and Boaz, who were the mother of Dode and father of Dode, in this life to fulfill Pesach, Matzah, and Bakurim, supporting him every step of the way. Yahweh was his God. The soul of Dode, already for 4,000 years. Dode was Adam, Adam was Dode. We had met with Dode again during his previous life as king, helping him restore his relationship with Yahweh at his darkest moment. And now it is from the womb of his mother that he is acknowledging that you are my God. In other words, God placed Dode's soul in the infant that would be born as Emmanuel to Ruth and Boaz. It's actually very significant that with Dode making so many bad decisions, both about women and men, in his prior life as king, because he had a louse as a father and a non-existent mother. For him to have seen this through, to have served as the Passover lamb, to take our guilt into Sheol, and to know that he was loved and supported every step of the way by a mother and father that loved him more than life. He knew it. It meant a lot to him. It was important for Yahweh to project that kind of support and love. So Dode wrote, so don't distance yourself from me. Don't avoid me by allowing your relationship with me to be severed for any prolonged period because of the oppressive confinement and the anguish. I know it's imminent because nothing else will help providing this assistance. Dode recognized that he would be separated from Yahweh for a while. We have Leah now out enjoying the fire. It's a beautiful sight, is it not? I don't think she knows that we're watching her as she's walking by, but the camera never blinks, as they say. So Dode knew that his trip from Passover to Matzah would be confining, the black hole after all, be anguishing, and that it was imminent. But he also knew that there was nothing else that he could do that would provide the help and assistance that was required to remove the guilt of his people and even of himself. So he knew it was important. He was going to do it. He'd provide this assistance, even though knowing that it was something that was going to happen imminently, within hours. Now, this is an interesting take on Mizmor Psalm 22:12. Surrounding me, the greatest and most esteemed of the bulls, Rab Param. This bull was so present, so supportive, so encapsulating of Dode, so protective of him at this moment. From his perspective, it looked like there was more than one. And there really was, because the bull would make many interventions in and around Dode's life. So surrounding me, the greatest and the most esteemed of the bulls, the mightiest, indeed the most assertive, capable, and aggressive of them all, who is a human herald, who is productively trampling, all while bearing with me, patiently waiting for me, while encompassing me, all in a coordinated manner. You see, he not only had a loving mother, He had a bull. The bull was his father. An assertive and capable, a very aggressive man, Bashar, a human herald that would trample all manner of adversaries. And through it all, he would bear with Dode, patiently waiting for Dode, surrounding him, coordinated in all of his pursuits of his beloved son. That's Psalm 22:12. Speaking of these bulls, and again, Dode sees them as more than one because the bull has been such an important part of his life and so many times in his life and is so active at this moment, surrounding and protecting the beloved of Yah. It says they opened their mouth. They spoke through one mouth, singular, before me, concerning me, over me. As a lion, he is plucking and tearing apart, creating separation while he roars loudly. In other words, you lay one more hand on my beloved son, I'll tear you to pieces. Those of you who want to torment him in Sheol, not on my watch. Back off. I was plucking them away. I was tearing them apart. I was creating separation, all while roaring loudly. As I've shared with you, the Amma was there, and so was I. In spite of it all, Dode would still have to endure crucifixion. That's what he wrote about. And he explained exactly how it would feel. He said, as water, I am poured out, and I am weakened, I am drained, and I am emptied. Of all of my most substantial bones, they're stretched, they're separated, they're out of joint. My heart is now like wax. It is melted, wasting away, along with my internal organs. 22:14. It's exactly how crucifixion kills. Your strength melts because you can't breathe. You can't stretch your diaphragm with your hanging by your hands in that way. And so you can't breathe. It pulls all of your bones out of joint. Your heart ultimately just melts away. And then you actually die of thirst while your strength and vigor fade because all of the fluids of your body pool in your lungs because of the inability to use your diaphragm. You can't circulate the blood, the air. You can't breathe in enough oxygen into your lungs because your diaphragm doesn't work with the nails through your wrists when you're hanging that way. And the only way to get your breath is to push up on your feet and ankles where there is a nail driven through them, through the Achilles, which is excruciatingly painful. So he says, like sun-baked dust, my vigor and strength are withered and failed. My tongue, it cleaves to the roof of my mouth. It's exactly the pathology of crucifixion. 1,000 years before he endured it, 600 years before the Roman torment was even invented. So upon the dust of death, they have placed me, which actually validates why I'm here. For indeed, the contemptible scum and abased yelpers, they all surround me. A politicized and religious community providing this testimony of the disastrously corrupt establishes a destructive annual cycle to denigrate what I'm doing. Yes, They would call it the birth of a baby God on Christmas and the death of that baby God on Good Friday, so that the baby God, now dead God on a stick, would rise again on Easter, all Babylonian, Greek, Roman, pagan, all to deny Dode of what he is doing. They bore into my hands, they pierced my hands and my feet. Mizmor song, Psalm 22:16. They drilled nails through his wrists and all of those nerves. They pounded nails through his ankles, his feet, right through the Achilles. The pain was excruciating. And yet this is one of the places where the Masoretes decided to edit the text, and he says, I think they've written, like lions are my hands and feet. No, they bore into my hands and feet, piercing them. Speaking of this, in Zechariah, the 12th chapter, Yahweh would say, and for a time I will pour out on the house of Dode and upon those who dwell in Jerusalem a spirit of compassion for those requesting mercy and clemency. And then they will be able to look to me, accompanied by the one who they had reviled and they had pierced. And they will lament over him, just like one cries over the most uniquely special and valued only child. Anguished and infuriated over him, consistent with the suffering over a firstborn. Zechariah 12:10. Returning to the psalm, after talking about crucifixion, 1,000 years before he would endure it, 600 years before it was invented, he said, I can still count all of my bones. They themselves stare as they look right through me. They divide my garments among themselves, and for my clothing they cast lots. They were a despicable lot, were they not? Romans and Jews. Worse and almost as bad. So the Son of God says, but you, Yahweh, you're not going to be far away, at least for a protracted period of time. He says, this is because my Ealuth, my source of strength and help, the strongest of men and the most prominent of trees, Ealuth, one who empowers and assists me, the one who provides aid to me, making me effective and influential. It is from El and Ael, the strength, fortitude, and ability of the ram, the strong man, and the tree, all of the doorway, to assist, to help, to influence, and to serve me. The Eoluth, the strongest of men, the most prominent of trees, was there to assist, to help, to encourage. So he says, you want to act quickly because I want to hasten this process, with both of us wanting and prepared to celebrate afterwards when the deal is done. So it's my desire and your will, my choice and yours, to deliver my soul, to snatch away and to save my soul from the horror, the heat, the desolation, and the ruin. My unique position as son and my precious life as the firstborn child from the influence of these contemptible scum. It was Dod's soul that took our guilt into Sheol, and he knew that Yahweh would act as quickly as was possible, because together they wanted to celebrate when the ordeal was over, and they knew they would. And so it was their mutual choice to deliver Dod's soul, to snatch it out of Sheol after it had delivered our guilt. All from the horror, the heat, the desolation, and the ruin of the black hole that is Sheol, as Dod, representing the most unique of sons, the firstborn. From the influence of that which was contemptible, because he was slathered with our guilt. He would acknowledge you want, speaking to God, to liberate and save me, and to liberate and save through me, to rescue and deliver with me. And you're going to do so by the mouth of that fierce lion, and by the horns of the uplifting bull, representing the flashing light that has risen on high. You've answered me during my affliction. The Keren Ram, the horns of the uplifting bull. Yahweh's plan is with a ram, a bull, and a goat. And quite frankly, the ram and the bull are inseparable. They're best of pals. Younger and older luminaries. I've been pals for 5,400 years already. And that bull, he cares a lot for that ram. And so it was from the horns of that uplifting bull, representing the flashing light that has risen on high, that you answered me during my affliction, that you used to protect me, to be with me, to respond to me, to keep me from being harassed. So Dod wrote, I have chosen to continually recount, providing a written record of your name to my brethren within the midst of the summoned community who have been called out, so as to radiate your brilliant source of enlightenment and even to brag about you. Mizmor 22:22. Therefore, respect and revere Yahweh if you want to radiate his light. And so says a man that knows a lot about that, because he was the greater luminary in this battle with the lesser luminary. Every dependent of Jacob, that would be Yisrael, you should choose to consider him worthy of respect and massively significant. You should want to live with him. All you descendants of Yisrael. Indeed, he has not relinquished his regard for or thought less of, nor has he rejected the responsive one who is afflicted and oppressed. Indeed, Dod turned out to be the responsive one. He answered the call. He was afflicted and oppressed so we would not be. He never relinquished his regard for Yahweh, nor did God relinquish his regard for his beloved son. He wrote, nor did he continually conceal his presence from him. No, it was just 24 hours. 24 hours amongst billions of years. It's not much, is it? Particularly in relationship to all eternity. We have Perry and Leah doing a little gardening on the pool deck. That beautiful fire. In just a moment, I'll come out there and join them, and we'll have a moment or two just quietly enjoying this wonderful symbol of transformation as we envision our souls being encapsulated in God's light, because Dode opened the doorway to Pesach. So he did not conceal his presence from him, and during his request for help to him, even God listened. When you're about the business of Yahweh, when you listen to Yah, he will listen to you. From you and because of you, Dode recognized that the consequence of all of this is that I will be appreciated, I'll be adored for shining brightly, my reputation exalted within the greatly esteemed assembly, fulfilling my commitment and promise to be part of this extraordinary free will offering. It's what the motivation ultimately was. Dode had made a lot of mistakes, but he knew that by fulfilling Pesach, Matzah, and Bakorim in year 4000 Yan, 33 CE, that 30 hours of anguish would pay dividends. Every covenant member would live forever. We'd all have our guilt removed. We'd be enriched and empowered and emancipated by God. All because of what Yahweh did with Dode, through Dode. And as a result, it's Dode who will be appreciated and adored, shining brightly, his reputation now exalted, at least in the esteemed assembly of the covenant family, because he has fulfilled his commitment. He's honored his promise. He's completed the mission. He understands what was necessary to endure this free will offering. He says, I'm fulfilling this restitution, providing complete restoration in a conspicuous and straightforward fashion, in the presence of those who respect and admire this. Well, the presence of those who respect and admire it would be his mother, his father, and his brothers, and now every covenant family looking back and appreciating what our beloved King, the Messiah, the very Son of God, our Savior, has done for us. He wrote, the unpretentious and straightforward who respond, they shall be continuously nourished and genuinely satisfied with overwhelming provisions. We are nourished by the sacrifice of the Passover lamb. And when we are straightforward in our response, we are genuinely satisfied. God's provisions are indeed overwhelming. So those who seek him, inquiring about and accounting for him, will continually radiate Yahweh's brilliant and clear light. Spoken as one of the two Mayor luminaries, radiating that light brighter than anyone. Your essential persona and good judgment will live forever based upon this restoring witness. They will continually remember this most memorable of men, and then they will return. When Israel comes to remember what Dode has done, they will return to Yahweh. And everyone to the extremities of the land and the earth. And as a result, they will settle down and camp out while making this announcement on their own initiative, as the earth is returned to the Garden of Eden on Sukkah, camping out indeed, approaching your appearance. Every ethnicity on earth. Because indeed, on behalf of Yahweh, The King reigns. Dowd is risen, providing leadership, all by painting these pictures with words on behalf of people from different races and places. And so all of the anointed, the Dashan, the chosen harvest, the accepted and satisfied, the empowered and content, the prosperous and the enriched of the land and of the earth, who approach his presence, they will be nourished, they will be fed, and they will settle down, and they will live in shelters while independently making their positions known, because we're returning to the garden on Sukkah. Those who are habitually kneeling down, however, prostrating themselves, having made life miserable, will all descend. They're going down beneath the dust of the earth. Even the soul itself, he will not be allowed to live. Posterity shall work with him. This will be recounted. It's going to be proclaimed of the approach of my upright one to the generations and to their dwelling places forevermore. They will come while conspicuously announcing, exposing, and declaring he was right. He was vindicating. He was acquitting. Doing so on behalf of the family members who have been and will be born, such that they honestly acknowledge he engaged, he acted to actually accomplish all of this. Mizmor, Song, Psalm 23:1. It's finished. He did it. I was there with his beloved mother as a witness. Yahweh enabled all of it. Dowd, our Messiah, the very Son of God, our Son, opened the door to life. His Sheol took our guilt into Sheol so that we might appear perfect before our God, and so that he could enrich and empower us so that we could follow the firstborn into the covenant family. This is what was accomplished nearly 2,000 years ago on Pesach and Matzah, leading to Bikurim. And this is the testimony in first person by the man who endured it and fulfilled it and should be respected for it. Happy Pesach to one and all. Good night.
Hey there, thanks for tuning in. That was Fetch. Gotta run now. Catch y'all on our next podcast.